Tune into this week's episode where we had over 80 Facebook fans send in their questions about backyard chicken keeping. And then we boiled them down to just the top 12 for you. This is episode 2 of our chicken series, and it's a don't miss if you plan on keeping a flock of your own. Welcome to today's show. I'm Jen Bolden with JenB TV, where we provide fresh thinking on green living. We do the research for you, then we test out ideas in our own lives and bring you just the best of the best in 5 minutes or less. So let's jump into this top dozen questions from our Facebook fans, and we'll give you the lay of the land. First question, are chickens allowed where I live? That's a really good question, Amanda, because you'd hate to get chickens and then get a visit from the chicken police. In all seriousness, though, in residential areas, you'd be surprised. A lot of chickens are allowed, not roosters, though. And go ahead and check your zoning laws, because they're gonna say, yes, they're allowed, and how many. What are the space and land requirements? Okay, so for the coop, you're gonna need 2 square feet per chick of floor space. And then for the run, which is attached to the coop usually, you need 10 square feet per chick so that they have room to flap their wings and scratch in the dirt. Now, if you Google it, sometimes you'll find 4 square feet per chick, but think about it, that's really a 2 by 2 area, and that just ain't enough. What type of time is required on a daily basis? Listen, chickens don't need to be walked, they don't need to be brushed, they don't need to be fed twice a day. All you need to do is collect the eggs on a daily basis, and about a couple of times a week, refill the feed and waterers, and about once a month, clean out the bedding. That's it. Number 4 is from my favorite fan, Heather Allard. Can you ever leave home? Why, yes, Heather, you can. Especially if you have a chicken run, because then they can go outside for their exercise and fluffing their feathers. And also with those handy dandy automatic waterers and feeders, you don't need to worry about it. Now, if your chickens are free ranging like mine are, all you have to do is ask a neighbor to come over and let them out in the morning and tuck them in at night. And they usually do this for free, just in exchange for the eggs. Question 5, how many eggs will I get? Okay, so different breeds lay differently, but in general, if you have about 3 chicks, you'll get 2 to 3 eggs a day. So a family usually needs about 2 to 3 chickens. But chickens are like Swatch watches in the 80s, and you really can't have just one. You have to collect them all. But you really shouldn't, because there's 400 breeds. However, in future episodes, we're gonna show you the right breeds for you. Number 6, do you need a rooster to get eggs? I love this question. Even the guy at the country feed store didn't know the answer. And the answer is no. No men necessary for the chicks to produce eggs.
Wait a minute, Jen Bolden. A rooster can come in handy.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, how else are you gonna tame the hen?
We don't need taming.
Well, why do they squat down when they walk by?
He's got a good question. The chickens sometimes squat because they miss a rooster, I have to admit. And when this happens, they kind of go, and you just grab them and give them a little tussle. I know roosters are noisy, but what about chickens? Okay, chickens actually do make some noise, not as much as roosters, but it is something to consider in terms of where you put that chicken coop. Don't put it near your bedroom, and don't put it near your neighbor's bedroom. By the way, if you want to hear what chickens sound like, wait for it. There you go. Are they cold weather and or warm weather hardy? Well, yes, certain breeds do better in the cold, certain breeds do better in the warm. For example, the silkies that look like the poodles and they've got the fuzzy feet, they're called bantams. They're smaller, so they are kind of delicate. But I have to admit, even though they're horrible layers, I've got a weakness for silkies. What do you feed them? Well, you feed them organic chicken feed, but of course. And you also need to feed them oyster shells so it keeps their eggshells strong. You can also feed them garden scraps, you can feed them table scraps, and what my chickens love is when we go to the farmer's market and ask them for the stuff that they would compost anyway. So when you cut the tops off the carrots or take the outer layer off of the lettuce, it makes for healthier eggs too. When will they start and stop laying eggs, and how long will they live? Okay, most hens start laying eggs when they're just 6 months old, and then they stop laying eggs when they're 6 years old. However, they live till about 10. But don't worry, in their dormant years, they can still eat all those slugs off your vegetables. Will they get along with our other pets? In general, yes, they do get along very well with other pets. However, if you have a dog that's been trained to bird hunt, probably not a good idea. Also, some terrier breeds have been a little bit like terrorists around my girls. Now, I had some cats, and I did have to train them that when the chicks are babies, they're not play toys. And my dear little cat Tigger did have to go sailing across the living room once in order to learn that lesson. Last question number 12. How much is it going to cost? Listen, chickens themselves are incredibly inexpensive, maybe just a few bucks a check. Then the feed, that's about $30 for a 50-pound bag of organic feed. It's gonna last you about 6 months for one chicken, so that's pretty inexpensive as well. Now the coops, that's where everything can range. For example, this one by Williams-Sonoma, low cost of $1,200. I don't even know where these chickens roost. As for me, I've lived in 3 different towns and so had to build 3 different chicken coops, and they usually run about $500 for labor and material. However, if you have a handy husband or maybe a nice friend, you can get it done for $200 in materials and maybe just a romantic dinner. After that healthy serving of a dozen questions from our Facebook fans, I'm sure you're ready to take the plunge and get some chicks of your own, right? But wait until the next episode, because we're gonna talk about how many, what type of breeds, and how to get your own baby chicks. So, thanks for caring, thanks for sharing, and we'll cluck you later. It's time to tune in and be turned on. And they'll eat the stuff that the farmers markets usually would have thrown away. That was so good until then. I'm giving her a loss.
That's good, that's good. Oh, she loves it.
Now you can also feed them garden scraps, chicken scraps. No, don't feed them chicken scraps. That's like cannibalism.